How do you get an epic New Zealand travel itinerary in 10 days? With 3 easy planning steps outlined in this video, you will save time, money and visit key locations in the North and South Island New Zealand is so famous for. Let's get started. First planning step, time. First of all, don't waste your limited time by spending hours and hours on boring highways. Instead, use your domestic flights wherever needed and spend time on more scenic routes. For this sample itinerary, let's assume that this is your first visit to New Zealand and you want to see key attractions in the North and South Island. Now, with only 10 days at your disposal, I recommend that you spend about 1/3 of your time in the North Island, so about 3 nights, and about 2/3 of your time in the South Island, so about 7 nights. So that's the first and most important planning step. Time sorted. Second planning step, locations. Now this step is a little harder, but you can download the suggested 10-day North and South Island travel itinerary through the link in the description box below. This will give you a great head start. So for this sample itinerary, there are another couple of assumptions. First, your interest in coming to New Zealand is about scenery, nature, hikes, walks, outdoor tours, culture and good food. Also, you will arrive in the part Auckland and will travel with a rental car. Note, if you want to travel with a camper or motorhome, that would need a different planning. This is because you have limited depot locations and a range of other differences to consider. Check out my rental car versus camper motorhome comparison video in the New Zealand trip planning playlist. So just before we'll get into the details of this itinerary with handy hints you'll love, let's go through this map with the selected locations and cover the key reasons on why these are selected. Auckland, 1 night, your arrival point into New Zealand and you want to ease into your trip. Rotorua, 2 nights. It's a great base for the central North Island attractions. Later I'll talk about an interesting side trip, so stay tuned. Christchurch, 1 night. It makes sense for this travel day between the North Island and the South Island. Again, we have an interesting alternative for you. Franz, Josef, 1 night. A great spot for the rainforest and the glaciers to explore. Wanaka or Queenstown, 2 nights. Both are beautiful and worth your time, but it's important to consider one option over the other. More on those later in this video. Fiordland, 2 nights, the magic highlight with the fjords at the end. Now let's bring it all together in our third planning step. But before, if you find this video helpful, please hit the subscribe button below to stay in touch for more helpful New Zealand travel planning videos to come. Third planning step, build your itinerary. After going through the previous 2 steps, you have achieved 50% of your overall planning. Your main structure with time and locations is now set. Congratulations! Right, let's get into the details. Again, you can download the itinerary in the description box below for easy reference. I'll start with the North Island part of the journey. Auckland, 1 night. So most travelers will arrive into New Zealand via Auckland. With long-haul flights from Asia or North America, and for your own safety, do not immediately get into a rental car and start driving. You'll be tired. Instead, spend a night in Auckland. Also, there's no point in renting a car from the airport, as it is more hassle with parking, left-hand driving, etc. Use an Uber or a taxi service to get into the Auckland city. Rotorua or Taupo, 2 nights. Pick up your rental car in the morning and drive southwards as early as possible. Important note, your national driving license needs to be valid and written in English. Plus, you need a physical credit card and must be over the age of 21 years. Drive to Hamilton first. The Hamilton Gardens are a great place to stop for a refresher. After that, head to Waitomo and go on one of the caving tours. Next, you'll drive to Rotorua or Taupo. Believe me, this is such a good use of your time. By the way, I have made a specific video for the drive between Auckland, Waitomo to Rotorua. So check this out in the New Zealand road trip playlist linked in the description box below. Now back to the details. If you're keen to explore the 𝗥𝗲𝗃𝗏𝗏 National Park for the following day, you should stay in Taupo. Taupo is also a great base to check out the thermal sites between Taupo and Rotorua. On the other hand, if you are keen to join a cultural tour or do a canopy zipline tour, then Rotorua would be a good option for you. Now let's talk about the South Island part of your itinerary. You will save so much time by taking a direct flight from Rotorua to Christchurch. Drop off your rental car at Rotorua Airport. Note, for this option you will need to rent with one of the main operators such as 𝗬𝗲𝗃𝗍𝗃, 𝗏𝗏𝗃𝗍𝗃, etc., as they have a larger rental car depot network such as Rotorua Airport. With a direct flight to Christchurch from Rotorua, you have an early afternoon to explore the city of Christchurch. The center city is only 15 minutes taxi ride from the airport, so that's close by. Smaller New Zealand-owned rental car operators have far less rental car depot locations. To save money, you could use one of those smaller operators from Auckland on day 2 and drive back to Auckland Airport. That takes around about 3 hours. Then take a direct flight to Christchurch from here. This means less costs for the rental car, no one-way fees you may encounter with the main rental car operators, as well as a lower costs for the domestic flight to Christchurch. Those savings all add up, though you would have a little bit more driving and less time in Christchurch. It's your call. Check out some suggested activities in Christchurch in my top 10 Christchurch video in the location playlist below. If you stay centrally in Christchurch, you can pretty much walk to all the highlights, so stay one night in Christchurch. So just a quick note about domestic flights in New Zealand. These flights are commonly used. Air New Zealand has the best network, and I do recommend to buy refundable tickets, which also include 2 times 23 kg luggage per person. Now back to the South Island itinerary. From Christchurch, head over to the west coast of the South Island. When it comes to scenery, this area offers an entirely different world to that of Christchurch. Try to imagine lush green rainforests and wild, remote beaches. Still excited? Now, between Christchurch and 𝗥𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏, you can either use a rental car or do the trip with a Transalpine train journey. This will involve an early morning start around about 8:15 from the Eddington railway station. Both with the car or the train, you pretty much use the same route and see the same scenery, but with a rental car you have the option of stopping along the way. Again, if you go for a rental car, then you also have more rental car options from Christchurch. You'll be pleased to know that the rental car depot in 𝗥𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏 are located right at the railway station, so that's easy. In my job as a travel designer, many of my guests have opted for the train ride, so why not kick back and enjoy the passing scenery with commentary along the way. After arrival in 𝗥𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏, head straight down to Franz Josef village, which is around 3 hours drive. Stay for 1 night in Franz Josef. The next morning you have time to either do a helicopter trip, a heli hiking, visit the kiwi birdhouse, or take a walk into the Franz Josef Glacier Valley. In any case, you want to have some time left in the afternoon to do the stunning drive along the west coast through the Haast Pass into the Otago region. You'll stay either in Wanaka or Queenstown. My recommendation, if you want more time for the drive in between the west coast and Otago region, then I would recommend you stay in Wanaka. It's an hour's less driving and also less touristy than Queenstown. You stay 2 nights. So use the next full day to explore the Wanaka or the Queenstown region. I will put a number of suggested tours and activities and walks into the description box below, as well as into the sample itinerary. So the next morning, if you stay in Wanaka, continue to Queenstown and beyond to Anau in the Fiordland region. Handy travel tip: if the weather conditions on the day are stunning, then I recommend to travel from Wanaka through the 𝗥𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏 Drive, which is New Zealand's highest public road. The scenery and the views on the other side into the Lake Hayes and the Queenstown Valley are just breathtaking. If you're keen, check out Queenstown along the way. Also, I would recommend you to stop at the small village of Arrowtown, which is en route to Anau and Fiordland region anyway. More good news, the scenic drive from Queenstown to Anau will only take 2 hours and a bit. So if you arrive in the mid or early afternoon, you can start to explore Anau by walking some of the 𝗥𝗲𝗹𝗀 track from the start of the Rainbow Reach Bridge. Check out my link to the Anau video in the must-visit places playlist in the description box below. Another important travel advice: if you travel in the peak summer season, restaurant reservations for Anau are very much essential. You will stay 2 nights here. Anau is a key point to explore the overall Fiordland region. It's actually regarded as New Zealand's hiking capital, so either head into Milford or Taupo Sound, do some local walks and hikes such as the 𝗥𝗲𝗹𝗁, Milford or Rootburn track. Do check out my Fiordland hikes and walks videos in the must-do playlist. I guarantee you'll find the hike and walk to suit any fitness level. You really need to have a full day to explore the Fiordland region. Doing this from Queenstown on a day trip takes far too long on the road and not enough time in the forest. On day 10, you head back to Queenstown, drop off your rental car and take a domestic flight back to Auckland. If you want to see more classic New Zealand heartland and coastal scenery, then you can also drive further down to Invercargill Airport and leave from there back to Auckland. In any case, you will then connect with your international flight in Auckland. Make sure you have a few hours spare to transfer from the domestic terminal to the international terminal. From the domestic terminal, you can either walk in 15 minutes or you can take a shuttle coach which operates every 15 minutes as well between the terminals. As you can see, with the use of domestic flights, you can achieve so much with only 10 days for the New Zealand's North and South Island. Use the itinerary layout with the recommended service links in the description box below. Also, I encourage you to have a closer look at my New Zealand road travel playlist. It will open your eyes to what treasures you can discover along the way. See you in the next video.